Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Based, Not Based On, where we give you the based reviews of anything relevant in this time and age. I'm going to be using clips from Halo Infinite because the game we're reviewing, I didn't have any clips of it. I know, very unprofessional of me, but here's my complete, unbiased review on the game Call of Duty Vanguard. The storyline is a mediocre 4.5 out of 10. The characters were not as fleshed out as, other previous installments of Call of Duty were. They had two alright characters, Lucas, the Australian demolitions man, and Wade, the American pilot. They were the only two characters that really had any sort of development to them, or any sort of actual, human being in them. The main villain was really boring, the main villain was just sort of a classic, the big boss is dead, which means I'm gonna go take his place. And in the game, it's I don't even remember his name, trying to take the place of Hitler after World War II, is nearing the end. It really didn't feel right. Most of the actions were just he didn't really play it smart, and it was just why would you do that? Gameplay, it's really what you would expect from the game that runs off the same engine and gameplay as Modern Warfare does. When it comes to the actual campaign, the attack dogs seen in most of the missions, say maybe 3 of them, the attack dogs are an instant kill, which are a far cry from the usual cut of cloth we've gotten in the previous installments of this game. They're always a quick time event, and it really breaks the flow of the game. At least in my opinion, it does. In future levels, there are bayonet wielding soldiers, and the bayonet charges are an insta kill, which in turn that makes a little bit more sense in my opinion, and it made me more on edge than it did with the dogs, because with the dogs it's just oh great, but with the bayonet charges you're oh no, I hear the charge but I don't see it. Hearing them always just gave me that little goosebump. The plane controls from midway into the level, or midway into the campaign, it needs to be a little bit more refined, but it's been pretty enjoyable, one of the more enjoyable levels in my opinion. But out of all, what was it, six or so missions, I only really enjoyed 4 of them, and that's just not good. The cutscenes, I'm gonna keep this short. Cutscenes were really dragged on. They looked beautiful, but take up way too much time in the game for it to be, they overstay their welcome, so to say. The historical accuracy of the game, not really historically accurate. The historical accuracy, the realism, so to say, takes a back seat for what they put off to be the most immersive COD game ever, with guns being blinged out with 10 different attachments, but in the campaign they have upwards of maybe 3 per gun. They really, if you put aside your belief for that, then the realism does take the huge back when you play in the Pacific Theater, Japan. You see German weaponry inside those levels, and in my opinion that just took me out of it. Not really immersive, but I guess you don't play the games for immersion, right? Multiplayer, I would give it a 3 out of 10. In all honesty, gameplay, again, you really don't expect much. It's just the same cut from Modern Warfare. But when it comes to multiplayer, it's just unimaginative because a lot of reused assets a lot of the assets came from like Modern Warfare and Cold War and were just plopped into Vanguard. Really just breaks the game for me, in my opinion. You know, there's the reused HUD and animation, just to name a couple, right? The game, the multiplayer itself, for the matches that I played, they were really laggy and stuttery. The hits weren't registering sometimes, and the spawns were really bad. Like, there was one match I played where I just ran past the point, whatever the control point was, because I was gonna flank, and two guys spawned in front of me. And it was an easy double kill, but it's like, wow, that doesn't feel scummy at all. And it sucks, because with it being a return to the World War II format, there's so much that they could have, but they just don't. It hurts, really. When it comes to game modes, there isn't really much to write home about. It's the same couple of modes that everyone's familiar with. What is it, like Domination, Search and Destroy, Team Deathmatch? You know, nothing really too much about it. It's fun sometimes, not fun the other times. They do have a pretty cool inclusion with this little thing. It's called, like, what was it, Tactical, Assault, and Blitz, like, playlists, where you play it like, oh, Tactical is for those people that, like, want to get that tactical thing. Assault's where you go, I don't know, more assault. And then Blitz is like, oh, just crazy crap. It's a weird little playlist thing, but it's kind of cool. But on the opposite side of that spectrum, they didn't really talk about it that much. They were just like, hey, it's here. Okay, never mind. So it's just sort of like, why bother? I mean, everyone's probably going to play it the same, maybe. Who knows, really. But, you know, the game modes are just alright. They're just mediocre. When it comes to Gunsmith, you know, it's nothing we haven't seen before. Same Gunsmith from Modern Warfare, same Gunsmith from Cold War. But the biggest thing is the attachments. Did we really need 10 attachments per gun? Don't think so. And for this review, I'm going to exclude zombies because I really didn't have the time to go in and play a match and get a real feel for the Easter egg and all that, if there even is one. So, to be determined, I guess. What's the final score for the what's the based review? Based score? God, really unprofessional of me. What's the based score of Call of Duty Vanguard? It's going to be an easy 3.5 out of 10.
More like belongs in the trash.
The game is simply way too rushed and way too undercooked. It's not baked at all. Campaign is probably the only reason why I'd ever really recommend it to someone, but that's on a good day. Multiplayer, it's really uninspired, and zombies, it just looked mediocre, but I can't really say too much. That would be based on territory, and we don't like that here. It has the potential, but unfortunately, we all know it's not going to reach that potential because Activision's known for making a game and then just leaving it in the dust and making another game, as per their stupid yearly release sort of thing. But thank you for tuning in to my based review of this game, and I hope to see you on the next based review, where we see how based pickles are. Thank you for tuning in. Check out the rest of the videos if I have any really up, and stay tuned.